right, this NFL head coaching cycle pretty much over. Every team that had a vacancy has filled it so far except for the Saints. With that said, though, I want to give you the two biggest losers from this head coaching cycle. And it has nothing to do with teams or head coaches. It's actually two quarterbacks. It's Dak Prescott and it's Trevor Lawrence. Here is why, at least for me, these two are the biggest losers from this entire head coaching cycle. Because I think the Cowboys and the Jaguars proved in their hiring process and who they hired that they are not equipped to support their current quarterback and get the most out of him. Like, I think Dak and Trevor are very talented quarterbacks. Both are top 10 caliber. Dak more bottom half of the top 10, right, when he has the right coaching and players around him. I think if you put Trevor Lawrence in the right system, he could still win a Super Bowl in the NFL. I think he has Super Bowl caliber talent. He just needs to be in the right system under the right head coach to get the most out of him. So, two guys with a lot of talent still, I think a lot of gas left in the tank, a lot of potential still to reach in their careers. I think their teams, the Cowboys and the Jaguars respectively, just proved in this latest hiring cycle, they are not equipped to get the most out of their quarterback, to put them in the best position to succeed, which is why I think at this point, I don't think either quarterback has an option. You got to demand a trade. Get the hell out of Dodge and get to a team, get to an organization, play under a coach that can get the most out of you. Because as long as Dak is in Dallas and Trevor's in Jacksonville, their careers are dead. Done. They are not going to accomplish what their potential says they should, which is why I think at this point you got to get out of town. Right? There's nothing with how you look at the Cowboys in this most recent head coaching cycle. Same with the Jaguars. There's nothing you can say, no reason to believe these two franchises are equipped to get the most out of their quarterbacks who could be, if in the right situation, two of the best quarterbacks in the league. And that's why I think if you're Trevor Lawrence, if you're Dak, in order to save your career, get out of town, demand a trade, and go somewhere where you can be supported. Look at Trevor Lawrence here first. He's in a franchise and playing for an owner in Shad Khan who doesn't know his ass from his elbow. I mean, this guy, first of all, hired Trent Baalke and kept Trent Baalke for, he's been there 5 years. You could say he kept him 5 years too long. I mean, go back to 2021, for example, Trevor Lawrence's rookie year. The last game of the season, the Jaguars fans, showed up to a home game dressed in clown outfits, masks, wigs, face paint, the whole, credit to them, they went all out. Why were they dressed as clowns? They were protesting the retention of Baalke. This was back in 2021. Everyone recognized then this guy sucks. And what did Shad Khan do? Hold on to him. Keep him a lot longer than he should have. And what that did was stunt the growth of Lawrence because it chased away any viable head coaching candidate that wanted to work with this talent coming out of Clemson. And that's how in Trevor Lawrence's early career so far, he got stuck playing under Urban Meyer, one of the worst NFL head coaches we've ever seen, and Doug Peterson, who had a good run in Philly, but clearly kind of has 1 year good, and once he gets figured out, he has no counter, no second punch, nothing else after that to go to. He's a one-and-done kind of guy. So Trevor Lawrence has not gotten the head coaching support he needs to be successful, in large part because the GM stinks, and the owner couldn't recognize it. And so even though now Baalke's fired, what to me raises red flags for Lawrence going forward is the fact that, look at how this happened. Shad Khan was fiercely loyal to Baalke, for whatever reason, blocked out any and everything when it comes to negativity about the job Baalke's doing, how he's chased away good head coaching candidates. It took Liam Coen basically interviewing and saying, yeah, I'm not working for this guy, I'm out of here. For Shad Khan to realize, geez, well, I guess we can't keep Trent anymore, got to get rid of him. And in the span of 60 minutes, he had his right-hand guy that we thought was Teflon, was going nowhere. Boom, he's fired. And now an hour later, a guy in Liam Coen is now handed the keys to the franchise basically and said, you're going to be the head coach. You're going to pick our GM. The entire organization now is yours. And look, I think I like the idea of hiring Coen. He did a very good job at Tampa. But the reality is, Liam Coen had 1 good year as an offensive coordinator in the NFL. And that was enough for Shad Khan to say, here's the entire franchise, take it. It's yours, do what you want with it. If you're Trevor Lawrence, you got to be looking around and say, what the hell are we doing? You wanted to keep a guy, you kept him far too long in Baalke than you should have. Then all of a sudden, in the span of an hour, you ditch him, he's gone. And now the entire franchise is in the hands of Coen, who again, bounced around to a lot of jobs, mostly, some average, okay, but really outside of Tampa in 2024 with what he just did, nothing remarkable or spectacular about the coaching career of Liam Coen, and now he's running the show. If you're Trevor Lawrence, you're sitting there going, this guy just gives power to anybody. Who knows? The plumber tomorrow could come in, make a good pitch of Shad Khan. Maybe that guy's the GM. So if you're Trevor Lawrence, even though I think at the end of the day, you got a good hire, and Liam Cohen's a guy I thought the Jaguars should have hired, the process with how they went about it is so alarming and head-scratching to me, or if I'm Trevor Lawrence, I'm saying, you know what, enough's enough here. I've been here far too long. There's been no semblance of structure or plan whatsoever. I'm getting out of town. Again, I think Trevor Lawrence has talent, right? So far, he's not lived up to it so far. He needs help, though, right? There are quarterbacks we've seen like Andrew Luck, Jaden Daniels, Joe Burrow, right, that come into downtrodden organizations and just their mere play and presence lift everybody else around them up. So there are certain quarterbacks that can do that. Others need help around them, where they could be top 10, top 5 even, but they need some help around them. Look at Jalen Hurts, for example. I think Jalen Hurts is a very good quarterback. I'm higher on him than others. Jalen Hurts is not the quarterback he is today if he doesn't have Saquon Barkley and that offensive line and A.J. Brown. Like, he needs help to be where he is. Trevor Lawrence needs help to get where he wants to go, which is trying to win a Super Bowl. He needs a good head coach. He needs some good talent around him. He's not getting that as long as Shad Khan's the owner in Jacksonville. Not getting the talent, not getting the coaching. So if I'm Trevor Lawrence, I'm saying, get me out of here. I've seen enough. This process, every day Shad Khan has a different thought. Get me out. I'm done. I got to go to a competent organization that has their you-know-what together and that could put me in the best position to succeed because it's not going to be in Jacksonville. And then if you look on the other side here with Dak, and if you're a Dak, like honestly, how the hell do you go to work and take this team seriously? Dak has given his heart and soul to this franchise, put his body on the line, has taken a beating, has gone through the ringer when it comes to the media and contract negotiations. He has gone through a lot as the franchise quarterback that most quarterbacks with other organizations don't have to go through and deal with. And the thanks he gets is this hiring of Brian Schottenheimer. That's what Jerry gives him. That's the respect Jerry shows his quarterback by hiring the offensive coordinator that he just had that, by the way, wasn't even allowed to call plays. I'm not a big Mike McCarthy guy. I think he's fine. He's average. Like if you're trying to win playoff games and win a Super Bowl, Mike McCarthy's not the guy for the job. I don't think he's prepared enough, detailed enough. I think there's a lot of areas, red flag areas that keep on showing up in every big game he coaches in with the Packers or with the Cowboys. Now, with that said, again, I'm not that high on Mike. With that said, though, if you're Jerry Jones, you're really moving off of Mike McCarthy to promote the offensive coordinator where Mike didn't even want him calling plays. If you're Dak, you got to be sitting there going, what the bleep? Like, what are we doing? How can you tell me this is the best answer? How can you sell me this is the best guy for the job for us to quote-unquote win? Because I put that in air quotes. I don't even buy that Jerry wants to win. You know what? And he doesn't. And that's why if you're Dak, you got to get out of Dallas. Because as long as Jerry's there, he is never going to give you the best possible chance for success. Because as long as Jerry's there, he's going to hire the same faceless, nameless head coach that he can control. Jerry doesn't want a head coach that knows what he's doing. Jerry wants a puppet. He wants a guy he can boss around. He wants a guy that will allow him to play fantasy football GM, pretend like he's scouting, make some free agent moves, go in the draft, pretend to be a GM, and pick the players. That's what Jerry wants. Jerry doesn't want someone smarter than him, which plenty of people are, to come in and tell him what to do. So that's why as long as Jerry's in charge of running the Cowboys, he's never going to get a head coach or never going to hire a head coach that knows what he's doing, because no head coach that's worth their salt that knows what they're doing is going to work for that buffoon. Jerry's the worst owner in the NFL, arguably one of the worst owners in sports right now, because he's the only owner I could truly make an argument for that does not care about winning. He cares about headlines and attention. That's all he wants. Control and attention, relevancy. And so now Brian Schottenheimer is going to let Jerry be the GM. He's not going to do a very good job at head coach. If you're Dak, with all you've sacrificed so far, why would you sit idly by and say, yeah, okay, Jerry, let's go play with Brian Schottenheimer. Yeah, he's going to lead us to victory. Let's rally the troops. Get out of there. Get out of Dallas and go someplace, number one, that'll appreciate you. Number two, because I don't think Dallas appreciates them as much as they should. And number two, and that's not a shot at the fans, that's a shot at Jerry Jones. And number two, go to a place that can actually put you in the best position to succeed. And for both Trevor Lawrence and Dak, if they demand trades and are on the trade market, their interest is going to be robust. And you look at teams like the Steelers, the Seahawks, for example. Let's see who else we got. The Vikings, maybe the Rams, depending on what Matthew Stafford wants to do. He's getting up there in age. You are going to have competent franchises with good head coaches interested in your services. Why sit idly by and waste your career in Dallas and Jacksonville when you could take your career into your own hands, demand a trade, and go somewhere where your talent can be put to the top, your potential can be maxed out, and you could be in the best position possible to win Super Bowls? Because as long as they stay in Dallas and Jacksonville respectively, Lawrence, Dak, never going to reach their potential and never are going to actually compete for Super Bowls while they're there. Not in their prime. No sirree. So I think when you look at this hiring cycle, I think those two guys, Dak and Trevor, are the two biggest losers with how their teams operated and who they hired. And I think at this point, they have no choice but to demand a trade, grab control of their future, and get out of town. Go somewhere where they can best be positioned for success. I want to hear your thoughts, right? Comment below if you're watching this on YouTube. Do you think Trevor Lawrence and Dak Prescott should demand trades? Should they get out of town to save their careers? Are you with me that both are top 10 quarterbacks? And in the case of Trevor, a guy that can still win a Super Bowl in the right situation. If you're listening on our podcast feed, also, by the way, if you're watching YouTube, check out the podcast feed, Hick at Night. Night spelled N-I-T-E, available wherever you do get your podcasts. You can find us, the video on YouTube, which is just Ryan Hickey on my YouTube page. Search that. You can find the video, comment there, or tweet me, Ryan_Hickey and the number 3 on Twitter. We can go back and forth. I want to hear your thoughts to this. I think the two biggest losers, Dak and Trevor, and they have to demand trades to save their careers.